Get it? Awesome. But yeah, so yesterday was 1 year that we met. And for those of you who don't know, we got married in October. And so I'm so glad to have him on here. He's lost 40 pounds on the reset since we met. And for those of you that don't know about the reset, we're going to talk to you about that. So today is typically Wednesdays at noon is when we get together as a family. We have clients. We have served thousands of clients all over the country. And what you're taking part in today is what is usually our group support call. And so I was initially just going to introduce this to my community, but decided literally last minute, I put one Facebook post out there just to see, because I think that a lot of my audience has been waiting to hear my stance on this. And behind the scenes, I've really been doing a lot of research, a lot of R&D, a lot of trialing lots of different supplements and things out there. And so I just got the word that the Lord was ready for us to talk about this, because I am so excited about it. So I'm so glad that you are here today. So a lot of you are going to be watching the replay. So thanks for joining us. And before we open this up, like we always like to do, I'm going to pass it back over to my hubby, who's going to pray for us, because what we stand on here is our faith, and that God gave us everything we need, not only for a beautiful life, but for our health as well. And so before we start this call, we're just going to give glory where glory is due. And Jeremy, if you could pray for us, that would be amazing, hon.
Happy to do that. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for your goodness and mercy over our lives. Father, we thank you that you, Psalm 139 says, you knit us together, you formed us in our mother's womb, you set us apart. And so, Father, we thank you today that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And Lord, as we learn about what Miranda is going to share with us today, Lord, we thank you that your word says that we are the sanctuary, we're the tabernacle, we're the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Holy Spirit. And so, Father, I believe that we're held responsible for how we steward our temple, how we steward this tabernacle that you've entrusted to us. And Lord, we just ask your blessing on this call today. Lord, I pray a blessing on Miranda today, Lord, but a blessing on us as well, that we all have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to receive, God, all that you have for us. Lord, we love you, we praise you, and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm super excited. So as you can see, I just even have the screen queued up here for what is typically our weekly group support call. So you're getting an insight to who we are at the Reset 2, not just about the supplement because or the peptides that we're talking about, because it's more than a supplement. But truly, we meet here every week, and I do introduce supplements to people on as we were talking about the reset, but most of all, I just want to show with you who we are. So if you don't know who we are, so I am Miranda Cloninger, used to be Miranda Summer if you've been following me for a while. And we just like to say that we're real people eating real food and real results. And why I'm so passionate about this, if you haven't come across my story, is I've been there, done that with weight loss, tried everything known to man, or at least I thought I had, until I learned about the world of functional medicine and healing the body, that it is way more than calories in, calories out, eat less, move more. It is way more than that. And as a whole, part of the problem that we're experiencing right now with Ozempic, Wegovy, craze with people rushing to weight loss is because there's a gigantic problem that people need to solve. And it is this. It is misinformation, is we don't know how to create health. And when we create a healthy body, the body loses weight naturally. And so through my own journey of hitting so many walls and having diagnoses of infertility, Hashimoto's, ADHD, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you name it, metabolic disorder, and being able to reverse all of those with real food and lifestyle, I learned a thing or two about the way the system is not helping us, okay? And so in that, we developed the reset method. And so what you are experiencing is just part of the support call of what we do here, because we do need to learn a really different way in order to create health in the body. And so we have helped thousands of people all over the country by getting to the root cause. This is the functional medicine tree, like we talked about. We like to go to the root and remove those things that are root that are standing in the way of our health at the surface. And so you're going to see in this graphic that all of the things that pop up on the surface, like our diseases and our diagnoses, all of those are caused by what is at the root. And a lot of times we just go to conventional medicine, and I'm not bashing conventional medicine. There's absolutely a need for that. But unfortunately, we're so used to the quick fix and the Amazon overnight delivery that we expect a pill or a potion to be able to fix the things that what we put in our mouth is causing. And until we understand that we have to put the right fuel in our body, you may have heard me say over and over again that you wouldn't put Pepsi in your Ferrari. We do not think about our bodies that way. And we're slamming down Pepsis left and right, not thinking that there's a consequence that comes up later in the form of type 2 diabetes, autoimmune condition, extra weight, or whatever. And we're going to shop pills and potions to fix it. It's not going to work. Okay. And so up till now, I haven't said a whole lot about it, but that's because it's been brewing under the surface about taking the stance and giving people the right resources. We're building some amazing things behind the scenes. But what the reset stands for is that we are truly helping people understand and learn how to love real food, And I don't know how you can't look at that and be excited with all of the colors and nutrition. And we aren't hurting for the way that we eat over here. We absolutely love it. And that's the secret. You have to learn how to love it and want to do it. If you think eating healthy is restrictive, then you just don't have the right information. And so being a teacher by trade, so before I started all of this, I went to school to be a teacher so that I could be the best mom that I could be. And given the diagnosis of infertility is kind of what pushed me to learn about this so I could reverse that, because I knew my body was supposed to be able to do that. So we have helped thousands of people all over the country get results way faster than Ozempic and Wegovy before that even came around by doing it the real way. We're just the, the best kept secret up till now. Okay. And so we believe that food is medicine in here, and it is in the Bible. We actually back that up with our faith, that this is a faith and spiritual journey, that God gave us everything that we need right from day one. It is our human nature that got in the way, where we wanted things to be faster and in our own time and get what we want when we want it right now, that gets in the way of our health. And so when we truly give it back to the source, we get our bodies get what it needs, and we actually get what we want, and have that beautiful, abundant life. And so that's who we are at the Reset. I would love for anybody that's on the Reset, like just for people that we're opening this up to share your results so far on the Reset, just in the number of pounds that you've lost or medications that you've lost. I think that's really going to be powerful for people who, maybe don't know about the Reset yet or are thinking about it, can really see the impact that we're having. Because I know that it is part of our communities. We have tried, we've been there, done that. We've all tried so many things. So we understand the frustration, and this call and this replay is not shaming anybody that has gone to Ozempic, Wegovy, the semaglutides, the peptides, or anything. It's actually like our reach out, because we have so much compassion for you, because we have been there too. We've all tried so many things that the world is teaching us to try. It's because of that. We want to help you fuel your body to understand the consequences. Like, we all probably eat pizza and cookies and, junk food, or spend a good portion of our life doing that. And the reason that we found a different source is because we realized that there was a consequence that we didn't like. There was a pain point. And so we want to help people be educated no matter where you are in your journey, because we know this is information that people need. And so every week on this call, I feature supplements or products that help us to enhance or support our bodies and where we're going. And over the last couple of months, I have just been so excited to learn about this brand new company and what they are doing. And for those of you that know me well, you know that I'm not going to recommend anything or tell you to do something I have not done. One of my highest values, if not my highest value, is integrity. And I respect you enough that I'm not going to know. I'm not going to tell you about a program or a product unless it's something I am doing and am confident that is working. And so we're going to focus on 2 of the 6 products that this company has today, which are natural peptides that to help support weight loss and muscle prevention. And so I'm going to show you a recording from people, the head of the research and development company behind this company, because I just wanted you to hear it from the horse's mouth. Okay. I'm not going to try to regurgitate this stuff. I'm going to let you hear what I heard that made me so excited about this and why. And so here's just a preview of some of the different products that they have. And we're going to talk about those more, but we're really going to focus on a couple of them today. But before I even get to that, one of the reasons that I'm really passionate about this, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time, But I do want to tell you, you might be asking, like, what is the difference between a natural peptide and the peptides or things that you're hearing about, like the Ozempics, Wegovy's, Mounjaro, and all of those things. Okay. There's a big difference. But first of all, I want to ask the question, give me a yes in the chat if you either are using it yourself, have used it yourself, or know somebody that is on any one of these injectable peptide semaglutide shots. I just want to get a canvas of the room here. Yeah, yeah. Know lots of people, but never taken it. So as you're listening to this today, I want you to listen to it not only for your own knowledge, but for them in mind. Okay. I will tell you that, and Jeremy's watched me witness this, because I like to compare when people get bad health advice. It's kind of like if you had like a Dallas Cowboys fan who's like so into their team and has all the stuff like, and when they're watching a high intensity football game, like yelling at the screen, like that's me when I'm like in some of these Ozempic and Wegovy and semaglutide support groups, listening to these people's side effects and stuff. Like it almost makes me bigger to tears just thinking about it because of what's happening in there. So, and I want to explain kind of what's actually happening with this stuff if we don't understand what it is, because what people are seeing on the surface and why they're running to it is they're seeing really rapid weight loss in a short period of time. And in that short period of time, let's even say the short period of time is like a year or two, that they're seeing metabolic markers improve. And I'm going to tell you that that's a bait and switch. And we need to be really, 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 really educated about this. And it's a bait and switch, and they know it. This is a gigantic moneymaker for the industry, and the FDA is actually starting to pull some of this stuff because the side effects are so terrible. And there's a reason why. And if we understand the way that the body works, you should be frightened, okay? And I do believe that people who are taking this would be frightened too if they were given this information. I believe it. And so I do take the stance that it's part of my responsibility in knowing this and helping people do it without, and creating health that they understand. But I just want you to like take a look at this chart here that I found of some of the main ones. There's definitely more, and they're coming up with new combinations of these things that work faster. But look at all the side effects at the bottom. They all have the similar ones like thyroid tumors, anxiety, bloating, blurred vision, abdominal pain, vomiting, depression. I know you're seeing those kind of same ones across the board. And then also if you look at the price, that's per week, you're looking at upwards of $200 a week. So that's $800 a month that people are spending on these things. And so think about that not only from a physical standpoint, but a financial standpoint, what people are willing to invest in what they are getting. And so I'm just going to go to one. We're going to highlight Ozempic here. And I just went to the Ozempic website. The first question that I would ask is how many people are going to the Ozempic website to look at what are the side effects or what this actually is. Okay. So what I find interesting, it does say, first and foremost, along with diet and exercise to improve blood sugar and glucose in adults with type 2 diabetes. And so for those of you that don't know, Ozempic is the medication that's prescribed for people with type 2 diabetes diagnosis. Wegovy is the same exact thing, only you don't have to have a type 2 diagnosis, type 2 diabetes diagnosis, okay? And it says to reduce the risk of major cardiovascular events, such as heart attack, stroke, death, or adults with people in type 2 diabetes with known heart disease, and to reduce the risk of kidney disease, worsening kidney failure, and death due to cardiovascular disease in adults with type 2 diabetes, okay? And so what are most of the people taking this for? Put it in the chat. All of these drugs together. So are they taking it for type 2 diabetes, or are most people going this right off the bat just to lose weight fast? Right? So I want you to keep that in mind. Yes, weight loss. But what is the most important information I should know about Ozempic? Okay, Ozempic may cause serious side effects, including possible thyroid tumors, including cancer, Tell your healthcare provider if you get a lump or swelling in your neck. We're going to call that Hashimoto's disease, that's what it is. Tell your healthcare provider if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, hoarseness, trouble swallowing, or shortness of breath. There may be symptoms. Those may be symptoms of thyroid cancer. In studies with rodents, Ozempic and medicines that work like Ozempic caused thyroid tumors, including thyroid cancer. It is not known if Ozempic will cause thyroid tumors or a type of thyroid cancer called, I'm not going to try to say that, MTC in people. Do not use Ozempic if you or any of your family have ever had MTC or an endocrine system condition. Okay? There are so many side effects that we had to have 3 screens for this. Ozempic may cause serious side effects, including inflammation of your pancreas. Stop using Ozempic and call your healthcare provider right away if you have severe pain in your stomach, abdomen that will not go away, with or without vomiting. You may feel the pain from your abdomen and your back. Changes in vision. Low blood sugar, hypoglycemia. All right, I'm just going to skip ahead. Signs and symptoms of low blood sugar may include dizziness or lightheadedness, blurred vision, anxiety, irritability or mood changes, sweating, slurred speech, hunger, confusion or drowsiness, shakiness, weakness, headache, fast heartbeat, and feeling jittery. Dehydration leading to kidney problems. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning where it said the whole purpose is to reduce the risk of kidney disease. And a side effect is dehydration leading to kidney problems. Do you understand how this is contradictory in and of itself? Right on the label of this stuff. Diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting may cause a loss of fluids, dehydration, which may lead to kidney problems, severe stomach issues. Okay, that is a very blanket statement, which I'm going to explain here in a second. And we'll continue going. Serious allergic reactions, gallbladder problems, food or liquid getting into the lungs during surgery or other procedures that use anesthesia or deep sleepiness, okay? The most common side effects of Ozempic may include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach or abdominal pain, and constipation, okay? So I'm just going to go back to this main screen here while we're talking about this, because the reality is this synthetic medication drug blocks natural processes in the body, okay? Most medications do. They override a divinely designed system meant to work the way that it's supposed to work. Okay. Functional medicine is the belief that the body knows how to heal itself. And so what we do is we make sure that the body can function the way that it's supposed to. So all of these synthetic injections actually interrupt those processes. And so there is a major consequence. Okay. One of the main mechanisms of Ozempic is to block the gut-brain connection and digestion of nutrients. When you turn off what your gut is, the engine to get the nutrients, the fuel to your body, we have a major problem, okay? If you don't have nutrients going to your brain, to your hormones, for creation of the neurotransmitters of your brain, for clear thinking, for making sex hormones, right? Or the digestion, like the constipation and diarrhea and all of these, the abdomen cramping and all these things, it's because you're churning down a process that is naturally supposed to run the entire health of your body. Okay? Not to mention when it comes to blood sugar being too high, when you block that natural process, this is why we go to things like inflammation of the pancreas. The pancreas's job is to secrete insulin into the blood sugar so that your body can naturally regulate blood sugar. Okay? So we have inflammation of the pancreas and then low blood sugar because it's interrupting that natural process, right? So one couldn't even get the right feedback even if they were trying to change their diet. Okay? So what is actually happening here, and I could spend hours just breaking down this process of how interrupting digestion leads to things like anxiety and depression. It leads to autoimmune conditions. So that's your thyroid. Like most people, especially women that carry weight, have a thyroid issue, which is typically called Hashimoto's. Whether it's gotten to that or progressed to that process or to that level or not, we don't know. But because some lab testing was needed for that. But most people have thyroid issues already. And when you start to see things like allergic reactions, and that is going to increase that your immune system is in your gut. And so when you're blocking that, you start to have food reactions and all of these, like your immune system is on high hyperdrive and it's shutting it down. Gallbladder, your gallbladder is what's filtering out, helping your body digest fats. If you can't digest fats and your gallbladder is trying to filter all that stuff up, you're going to have hormone issues. You're going to have anxiety and depression. You're going to have inability to detox. And so the long and short of this is the consequences long term on this will lead to multiple autoimmune conditions. Okay, that's what this is. Food or liquid getting into the lungs. That means that there is undigested food in your bloodstream because we have leaky gut so much so that it's floating around in your blood. Your body is not designed to handle like all of these artificial sweeteners and junk food. And when we put a chemical like this on top of that environment, it will escalate disease to the nth degree. The condition I'm most concerned about is mental illness in our country, because if people are already in depression and ADHD, they have severe brain fog because their blood sugar's too high or because they're nutrient deprived. You put this on top of it where they're not getting the nutrients that they need and even blocking it, then we can't make the neurotransmitters in our brain. And we also have not really gone to battle for the food addiction that's driving this. So we are now going to be food addicted and drug addicted, because what's happening when people stop losing weight, they're telling them to go get more. There's even inside these communities, and I don't know if anybody else here has seen this, inside the communities, they all know about these crazy toxic gummy bears that they can go get on Amazon, so that when they get so constipated, they know to go take them so that they can poop. It is insanity. It's absolute insanity. But people are so desperate and no one is educating, and everybody's trying to go find these shots, and they'll spend whatever to get the results. So we just need to have compassion for the people they're just desperate for those results. They don't know any better. And the system is doing a darn good job of splattering this everywhere in order to get the money, right? Get the money. Okay. But the problem is people are starting to speak up about this. And I tell people all the time, like, if you're having a reaction to that stuff, it is a blessing because you're paying attention to it so that you can hopefully get off of it as soon as possible. And that's kind of our message here, is we just want you to understand the truth about this stuff. Could it have been used as a tool to help people get to a healthy diet? Sure. That is going to be the minority of what's actually happening. Because the reality is people are going to this as a quick fix because they've seen it sold as such, and they're spending a ton of money and they're coming out and they're going to be sicker. People will be worse because of this no matter what, no matter how long you did it. That is my stance. Okay. And so when I saw this product, which I'm super excited to tell you about because I've experienced it, I was like, this is a way to be able to reach people where they are because they're looking for something that can help. That is a peptide. That's a language that we're using. It's an understood thing now that people know that they need peptides, right? Where we can meet them there to help get them to something. And it's also something that can help us in a natural way. But I'll tell you how dirty this is out there and how well that you need to be looking at this. In searching yesterday for peptides, I found people in my own industry who are like, that is my before and after picture on another naturopathic doctor's website. These are my clients who did the reset, and they don't care. They're going to go out there and they're going to go find someone's before and after. They're going to slap it on a website so that they can make a buck. And so if we aren't using that filter to know how money hungry this industry is, and they are not for you, like, I need you guys to be aware. So that you can do something super cool and search an image. This is one screenshot of how many places my before and after picture is being used on someone else's website to sell their product. Yeah, probably have a lawsuit. We're actually looking into it. This happened when I actually launched my reset program. So we're gonna be looking into it more, but it's not about that for me. It's about integrity. And so I just wanted to show you that of this is This is a tool of the enemy, guys. Like, this is why we are faith-based. This is why we are looking for people who are of integrity to lead. And so everybody that I've met that is in and associated with Make Wellness has just been super of integrity. And I love everything that I've heard, including my own results. And so today we are going to talk about an amazing product, but it all boils down to this. And when I talk about the reset and I tell people about what the reset is and educating people on how to get back to real food and understanding why and learning the way our bodies work, that we need an education. Like, some of you have been with me for like 6 years. Jen's been with me for 10, right? So this doesn't go away. The support isn't not needed. Like, there's a lot of information and we're all learning something every single day. But these are the choices that we're making. We're choosing one of these paths, whether we choose to admit it or not, right? So we're helping people choose the natural way, the God-given way. And so I'm super excited to talk about the supplements that I've been using. And we're just going to talk about 2 today, because the video that I have to share with you, it is about an hour long. So this call will be about an hour, about 90 minutes in entirety. So if you have to go, no worries. I'm going to put the replay out here so that this can be shared, because I think it's valuable information. Like I said, this is just scratching the surface of what I have to say about the synthetic peptides and all, or the synthetic, the shots and things like that, the injectables, and the damage that they're doing to people. But having a solution that's natural is super important. Okay. Now, are we doing that with food alone? Yes, we are. Is there a way that we can use the power of nature to amplify that? Yes, there is. And it's very good news. And so I have had marked energy increase from this. I have noticed my recovery time in the gym go up, and you're going to hear why. And this is why I'm super excited. So no, excuse me, I proceed with caution. Jeremy has watched me try several products. Looking for something that I can meet somebody in this, and if it doesn't work and I don't have results, I'm not gonna go there. And so I've been researching this quite a bit. Jeremy, do you have anything to speak to with that before we show the video?
Well, just echoing what you said, I mean, I get a front row seat to seeing your energy levels, and again, you trying these other things that you were told would help with that, and they haven't, until this has made all the difference. And I've had a front row seat to seeing, like, of course, I'm like, folks, I just want to tell you again, like, I didn't come into this thing a year and 1 day ago knowing anything about anything. So I'm learning alongside of you. Like, yes, and I hear it a lot more than you guys hear it. So I I hear it all, but it's so interesting. I'm a lifelong learner. Miranda knows that. Like, I love to learn, and so I'm excited to watch this video because I haven't seen it either, and just to hear what awaits all of us. So, Miranda, I'm ready when you are, dear.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be a video from Alan Jones and Mark Bartlett, who are on the research and development team for this, for Make Wellness. And so this is a program and a product that launched, I believe, in November. So it's brand new. And there's even a founder's opportunity. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. That'll be a different time. And so it's super exciting that if you are loving what you see here, not only are we going to share a link for you to be able to get these amazing products, we could actually share that now if before we do the video, so that you could take a look at the website, and we can help you with that, because we understand that you might not be able to stay for the entire hour today. We will share it at the end, and there will be opportunities for you to tap in and learn more about this. They do have a lot of information about providers. There's just a lot of opportunity and education. And that's another reason why I love this company, is because you've got to be educated to understand about what you're promoting. So we're going to go ahead and start that video now. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I will be watching there, and then we'll be following up after the video is over. So enjoy.
Our Thursday night podcast. I'm Alan Jones, Vice President of Research and Development for Make Wellness.
And I'm Mark Bartlett, one of Alan's favorite people, I think, Chief Science Officer at Make Wellness. We're super excited that you've joined us again on a Thursday night for another, I think we're going to have a fun time of learning. And we're focusing on 2 products tonight, right, Alan?
We are. We're focused on the combination of fit and lean, and how this combination can affect a characteristic of muscle known in the research world as muscle quality. And so in the past, Dr. Bartlett, we've talked a lot about muscle mass, muscle function, muscle strength. we've talked a little bit about muscle quality, but tonight we're going to do a real deep dive in the importance of building and maintaining quality muscle. So
yes. And we're going to learn that it's not about sort of being a bodybuilder or having big muscles. I mean, heaven knows, look at me. I've got like skinny arms, right? Hopefully I've got quality in that muscle. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. And how muscle just kind of is, I would say, a hub of your health, much more than you realize. So it's going to be a fun talk tonight. Wow, we even have someone on the line from England today. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
You might even understand me.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, let's get started. Karina, if you'll pull up our presentation, we'll get started teaching. All right. So remember this point right there, right here, because it's very, very important to understand that muscle quality is the key to longevity. And so we'll talk a little bit about health span. We'll talk a little bit about lifespan here later on. But when you start talking about longevity, what we're really talking about is quality of life and how muscle quality improves quality of life. So to understand, you have to ask yourself this question: why does muscle matter? You have to also understand that besides being the largest metabolic organ in the body, muscle is actually the largest endocrine organ in the body as well. And so when you look at muscle, it comprises about 40% of our body weight, but it also uses about 80% of all glucose consumed in our diet. That's the metabolic component of muscle health. The endocrine component of muscle health has to do with the number of myokines and hormone-like compounds that are produced with exercising and active muscles. Now, there's one of those myokines, Dr. Bartlett, that we don't like, right? That sedentary muscle, that inactive muscle secretes, and that actually causes a breakdown of muscle. That is a myokine called myostatin, and we want to do everything that we possibly can do to inhibit the secretion of myostatin in our bodies.
Let me maybe just bring it as an example. So both Alan and I guess you could call biochemists. At least my first degree was biochemistry. I think you've got quite a bunch of biochemistry in your background, right, Alan?
Yes, sir. A lot. Okay. Yes, sir.
So what does that really mean? And what does it mean when we talk about metabolism? So there's just a whole bunch of biochemical reactions that are going on in the body. Think of it kind of like a car's engine. Like there's all sorts of stuff going on. The pistons are going on up and down, and there's sparks firing, and there's like fuel going in, and it's being mixed with oxygen, and it's going out as exhaust, which is mostly water and carbon dioxide. Like there's just a ton of things happening. There's a fuel mix, and then there's the rest of the car, right? And metabolism is really just in the body, the combination of all of those things that are going on. And so when Alan says that your muscle is your biggest metabolic organ, it's really kind of like the engine of your car. All sorts of stuff going on. And that's really what metabolism is. It's these reactions. It's like how the body's combining oxygen with carbohydrate or fat to make energy, and just like hundreds of reactions going on. And if the muscle is healthy, then the rest of the body actually benefits to a huge degree. But if the muscle is starting to shrink, if the engine, like if your V8 suddenly turns into a 4 and then a 3 and then a twin and then it's sick, that affects the way that the entire body runs. So I think that's just kind of putting it in simple terms.
Yeah. And Dr. Bartlett, you think about it this way. Okay. Loss of muscle mass, when you're talking about going from that V8 down to that, inline 2 and losing all that horsepower, the loss of that muscle mass is also associated with virtually every chronic illness and disease known to men and women as we age. Right?
Yeah, and it's all related to those biochemical reactions, right?
Absolutely it is. I mean, we're talking about, when you start thinking about muscle, muscle impacts our brain. There is a muscle-brain axis. There's a muscle-heart axis. There's a muscle gut axis, because exercising muscle actually impacts our microbiome. There's a muscle liver axis. I mean, so literally every organ system in our body is associated with the muscle in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And that's
And
why
I don't want to take the wind out of your sails, but we're going to go this direction. What does that axis consist of? Some of it's nerves, but some of it is actually these messengers that we call peptides.
That's right. Those cell signaling. So everything that has to do with those muscles, all those myokines, right? All the 600 plus myokines that we know about that are secreted by exercising active muscles. Virtually every one of those are a peptide or a peptide biochemical of some type, right? So that loss of muscle mass is tragic, really, when it comes right down to it. But think about it this other way. How important is it for our muscles to recover every day? We lose 2% of our muscle mass. No, we don't lose. I'm sorry. We turn over. That's a big difference. And let me clarify that. Our body turns over 2% of our muscle mass every day. That means it essentially rebuilds it, okay? For some reason, whether it's, our workouts or physical activity or something we've done, we've lost some muscle mass about every day. Well, that averages out to be about 2%. Well, if our body is not recovering properly, not rebuilding properly, guess what? We lose that 2%. We may only rebuild 1.8%. That starts to become significant day after day after day. That right there. Okay, let me ask you a question, Dr. Bartlett. I know you've got the answer to this. What is the most significant portion of a 24-hour period geared towards recovery?
Well, sleep, right?
Absolutely.
What are you talking about? Yeah. Sorry, I was asleep on the job there for a minute.
Absolutely. I think you were commenting and commenting to our chat group. But no, absolutely. Sleep, right? And so if we're not getting enough sleep, our body can't recover properly. Now, you brought up an interesting stat about sleep in one of our meetings yesterday. Will you tell our affiliates and our attendees about this one stat about sleep and sleep deprivation and what it does to your body?
Okay. So yeah, I think you're talking about the metabolism side, right?
That's right.
So yeah. So just looking at metabolism again, I'm going to couch it a little bit. When you go to the doctor and he takes a blood sample, like at your annual physical, right? And what does he do with that blood? And what does he come back with? So some of you may remember they're looking at maybe your cholesterol level, and then maybe they even drill into your HDL level and your LDL level. So, a really comprehensive panel might also include how your body's handling glucose. Like if you're fasting, they're looking at triglycerides, they're looking at glucose. And sometimes they even start looking at inflammatory markers like CRP. So let's just organize that into three. They're looking at blood lipids and whether or not things are normal, high or low. They're looking at blood sugar. Is your body handling sugar normally? They're looking at inflammation. That's kind of like when you think about that simple panel, there's probably 10 or 15 things on there. Those are actually measuring. It's kind of like plugging the diagnostic tool into your car. They're measuring how healthy you are, really, because they can see they're measuring your biochemistry. And actually, if you do a really comprehensive panel, there's probably 150, 200 things on that panel, right? So if a doctor looks at that panel and looks at what's normal and what isn't, he can say, you're, Joe Six Cylinder, you look kind of like you're starting to get diabetes, like you need to start paying attention to what you eat and you need to exercise more, right? They can tell that just by that thing. So they've done these studies now that look at the biochemistry of the body in the same way and have shown that even after 1 or 2 nights of sleep deprivation, like not getting your 8 hours, that your body biochemistry shifts and starts to look just like someone that is pre-diabetic. Isn't that amazing? And it kind of shows that is at the core of some of your metabolic health as well.
Yeah. And that's why sleep alone is one of those 4 pillars of health that we've got to pay attention to. And so if we're not sleeping right, we're not recovering right. And so think about this. One of the things that happens to us as we age, we tend to not sleep as well. Our diet goes down, our diet kind of shifts a little bit, but beginning in that 3rd decade of life, if you think about this, our skeletal muscle mass starts to decline. And it does so in our 30s, our 3rd decade of life is actually in our 20s. But when we hit into our 30s and 40s, it averages about 3 to 8% per decade that we lose muscle mass wise. But when we start to get into our 50s, Dr. Bartlett, that loss of muscle mass increases to about 1 or 2% per year. Now think about that. So, we're basically in our 60s. And so if you're losing 1 to 2% of our body mass a year through our 60s and our 70s, by the time we enter into our 70s and 80s, you're talking about losing potentially 30 to 40% of your metabolic fitness by the time you're in that age group, right? And so that just goes to show how important it is to work really hard right now, because what we do now really does impact us for the future, okay? And so it's very important for us to pay attention to that muscle mass. Now, we're going to talk tonight again, and it's really muscle mass is one of those things we're going to talk about, but overall, how do we improve our muscle quality? Now, last statistic of why does muscle matter? This is very important because increasing our muscle mass and our muscle quality can reduce all-cause mortality by more than 17% just by taking the little step of getting some resistance training 3 or 4 days a week and maintaining our muscle mass and improving our muscle quality. That's significant. So, all right. So here's kind of a diagram of healthy muscle fibers. And actually, Dr. Bartlett, I saw a question that popped up a while ago, and I think the question was, what are the benefits of fit for an elite athlete? Okay, let me answer that if you don't mind, because we've had this conversation regarding Justin Prince, our founder, right? Justin is an elite. I would consider Justin Prince an elite bodybuilder. I know he's done shows in the past. He is so fit. I mean, literally, this guy is a ball of muscle in incredible shape. And so Justin, when we first started taking our fit, the thing that he has to understand is that his level of improvement is going to be much, much, much smaller. His ability to stretch that limit is going to be a lot smaller as an elite athlete than somebody who is not an elite athlete. So you ask that question, what is the benefit of fit for an elite athlete? It's the recovery side, Amber. That's the benefit of the fit, because the faster the elite athlete can recover, the faster that elite athlete can get back on the playing field or back in the gym working out or back into competition. And so it boils down to, and there's actually studies on this, on the recovery side of how fit and the bioactive peptides in fit actually improve recovery times. So in my opinion, the benefits of fit for an elite athlete are going to be recovery, because any elite athlete will tell you that it's all about the recovery. And so that's the importance. I hope I was clear on that. So anyway, so looking back at the screen right now, you're going to see a healthy muscle fiber. You're going to see the sarcolemma, which is kind of the covering on the outside of the muscle. You're going to see the mitochondria that are in between each one of those myofibrils. Then you see like your T-tubules, your terminal cister, your triad, your sarcoplasmic reticulum. Those things have to do more with muscle contraction. Basically the flow of calcium and potassium into and out of the muscle over contraction. But the thing that you don't see here is you don't see fat infiltrated in between these myofibrils, because when fat starts to infiltrate the fibrils, then you start to have problems. Now, you look at this particular slide now, and this slide is really telling of what we're about to talk about. So here on the left, you've got healthy muscle. Look how tight those myofibrils are within those muscle fibers. Very tight, no spaces. You see some mitochondria in between, but you see very little white space. But then you get into inflamed muscle, you start to see some spreading, some inflammation in there. You start to see spacing. That spacing puts pressure on those myofibrils. But then here's the problem. This is extremely low quality muscle, this fibrosis and fat infiltration on the right. You can see that the density of the muscle fibers is very, very low. There's a lot of fat in between. There's huge spaces in between each myofibril. That right there is an indication of very low quality, very weak, and just not good muscle. And we'll have some more discussions on this here in just a minute, and you'll understand what we're really talking about when we start to talk about muscle quality.
Yeah, we're going to talk about cows in a minute and talk about like steaks, and that'll kind of help to cement what Alan just talked about.
Great visuals, huh?
So let's shift a little bit into what I'm going to call evolutionary biology, which really just means like over, I guess you'd say thousands of years or more. And you can call it our evolution. I kind of like to consider it our design, the design of the human body, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. As a middle-aged man, I want to look like this, right? And I know what you're thinking. It's all about vanity, but it's actually not about vanity. It's about what Alan was talking about. It's actually about muscle being actually the pathway to youthfulness. Now, I like to say, one of my slogans in life is I want to die young, as late in life as possible. Meaning like just stay healthy and strong all the days of my life. And muscle is kind of the key to that. And again, as a biochemist, I look at this not sort of in terms of vanity, but in terms of health. And on the next slide, you'll see that muscle, as Alan has been explaining, because of its interaction with all of the other systems of the body, really becomes a health hub, right? It affects your bones, your mood, and your cognitive function. It's not just about your muscle strength, but it's about all sorts of parts of your health and the biochemistry that we just talked about. There's so much of the body. Again, that's the engine of your body, and the health of that engine affects the entire car, right? So I guess the question is then, what does that mean to you in terms of that health? It doesn't last forever. So, here's this guy, super fit. He's the guy I want to be. He's been working out in the gym, and he probably runs. He looks like he's got like healthy muscle. But I put an hourglass in this picture to represent time, because what will happen to this guy if he says, well, I've got the body I need, I'm healthy, and then he just kind of sits around and eats Twinkies for the next maybe month or two, maybe even a couple of weeks? What's going to happen to that muscle and that tone? It's going to be dumped. And here's the question, and it's kind of frustrating, right? If you think about the human design, right? Like, why can't we just keep it? Like, the fittest human being should have evolved so that we stay fit from a cardiovascular perspective, so that we actually stay muscular. If that is our best self, then why aren't we designed to stay that way? And really, it goes back to this evolutionary biology. Think of the last 5,000 years, 10,000 years, right? How did people live? Our bodies are perfectly designed actually for scarcity and activity. Like, we were always running around trying to find food. We were always hungry because we didn't quite get enough. We had to work for the food. We had to chase it down or grow it, right? And that is how our body was designed. So our body was really designed to know that, like, putting on that muscle requires calories and energy to keep it there. This is actually one of the secrets of keeping a healthy body and lean body mass, including fat loss, is that a person with a lot of muscle, someone like Justin Prince, when he is sitting, how many calories is he consuming? He's like a V8 that is idling, and even a V8 that is idling is consuming a lot more calories or gas than the little twin cylinder, right? The weak little engine. So, that's one of the secrets actually. But on the other hand, evolutionary design is more about dumping stuff that you don't need to conserve calories. Like, you're designed to be more like a Prius, right? I'd rather be a muscle car than a Prius. But it's all based on the fact that now things have changed. Now look at the last 50 or 100 years. Like, you have immediate access to all sorts of foods. And your jobs don't usually require strenuous activity. You're sitting in front of a computer like these guys are, and you're eating fast food because there's plenty of it and there's high caloric density. So what's the problem here? I would say it's a mismatch between our evolutionary biology and our modern lifestyle. And there's more to it than just sedentary lifestyle, right? We've got light pollution, we've got stress, we've got all sorts of things that are messing with the way that our bodies were designed. Like, for example, stress. Maybe these guys on the left here, they get chased by a lion or something and they run up a tree and they escape and they go, whew, that's over. Well, what's happening during that stress? Like they've got like this cortisol dump. They've got this like adrenaline dump. There's all sorts of biochemistry going in the body that's related to stress. It temporarily sort of stops the gut from moving. It's just all sorts of things in your metabolism. And then, but when it's over, it's over. And he can breathe a sigh of relief and the stress is gone and the biochemistry returns to normal. But in a modern life, you've also got like consistent stress. Like when I go home tonight, I'm probably going to stress a little bit about the fact that I don't have my presentation ready for the convention in a week's time, right? Just constant stress. So that's the thing. Like our bodies were designed a certain way perfectly. Here's another one. Like, why am I hungry all the time? I just ate. Like I went out to eat plentiful food. I come back and I'm like, I'm still a bit peckish. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I'm wondering why. Why is the brain still sending signals for food-seeking behavior? Again, it's part of our evolutionary biology. I think I went on a little bit too long with this slide, but you get the picture because we're going to sort of help you understand what is the solution to this, right? And man, I just can't get enough of this, the handsome version of me, right? But yeah, let's go to the next slide, and maybe you can talk to the next one there, Alan, because you've sort of been in the beef industry for a while in your life.
Yeah, kind of raised on a farm and a ranch, so we've seen a few cows in my lifetime for sure. But again, what Mark was talking about, that scarcity, mentality, and let's just look at this bull over here on the right, and look how muscled up this bull is. But think about what this bull is eating right now. What is a bull's main purpose in life? His main purpose in life is twofold: to eat and to breed. That's all this bull has to do. They have the greatest life in the world, Dr. Bartlett. You can put them out in a pasture. They do their job. They eat all this grass, and man, they're just healthy. They got big muscles, and all the cows just really seem to love them for some reason. So you think about this bull. He eats, he grazes, he's constantly active, he's constantly taking care of his business. But you ask yourself, how does this bull get this type of muscle? And a lot of it has to do with, if you go back here, I want you to notice something real fast. Ask yourself in this picture down here on the bottom right, which one of these foods are native and healthy for our bodies? And I'm just going to answer that by saying none of them, right? But this is the type of diet that we eat. But when we eat a diet that is built for our bodies, this is what we can also build, right? When you sit there and you feed a bull a bunch of grain, which is not native to a bull's diet, that is not what a bull's supposed to eat, grains and corns and stuff like that. We used to call that, we sent them to the feedlot to fatten them up before we sent them to be processed. And so
and that does something to the muscle, right? Like you can actually see it. I being raised from beef in Australia, where it's nearly all just grass fed, and I came to America and I'm like, wow, this is different. It's a little bit more tender. It's a little bit more tasty, and it looks different.
Yep. It looks dramatically different, and we're going to see how different it'll look here in just a little bit. So, but anyway, pay attention to your diet. Pay attention, because it's very important that what we put into our diets actually facilitates building muscle and not destroying our muscle quantity, muscle mass, muscle strength, muscle function, and muscle quality. So here you go. Here's another bull, right? I mean,
well, okay. So I used AI to generate this, and I said, I want a bull jumping a fence. And like you guys are thinking, bulls don't fly. Let me show you the next slide, because I took this from a rodeo that happened in Wyoming. And this guy like, escaped and had jumped over this fence like this. Like, look at this guy, 2,000-pound bull that the owner of the rodeo, the rodeo said, well, this is pretty with spots on, probably with Alan's accent, not with mine. So it threw the cowboy off. And then it said, I don't want to go back into that pen. And he like jumped that fence and scared the willies out of all those people there. But just look at that thing. It's like a freight train. They do fly.
Yeah. If you've ever wondered how powerful a bull is, watch one of those bucking bulls, watch a PBR event on TV and watch how high those bucking bulls get when they come out of that chute. Some of those things will jump 5, 6, 7, 8 foot in the air with a cowboy riding them on the back. That's how powerful those animals are. And all they eat, grass.
I want that kind of muscle.
Yeah. So here you go again,
God,
Dr. B.
Get rid of this guy. He just makes me feel inadequate. So here's, again, this is how we look at life. Like, we don't see that guy with muscles. We look at this and we go, okay, if we want muscle, this is what's going on from the biochemical perspective, right? And basically, you don't have to understand this, but it's all been mapped out. Like, it is incredible over the last 50 years or more, how scientists have been squirreling away in a lab, and I've been one of those scientists, and Alan's still doing it, where you're working out biochemical pathways, and people have spent their lives working on these pathways. The body is really like an incredibly complex circuit board. And there are switches and that turn things on and turn things off. And again, mostly it's through nutrients and peptides that these communication things are happening. So I don't know if you have any more comments here. There is at least 2 that I'm looking at that are receptors that sort of help with the maintenance of muscle mass. And the one on the left is where it says amino acids. This is a nutrient sensor. And so when you get enough protein in your diet, some of the amino acids kind of are particularly recognized by that receptor, and leucine is one. And it says, oh, I see leucine. Okay, let's send a signal to that one in the middle there, that mTOR C1. That's the pathway that kind of gets everything started in terms of building and maintaining your muscle. And that one, actually, interestingly enough, we've talked about aging. As you start to age, that one becomes less active. So even if you're getting protein, even if the body's seeing leucine, it's just not reacting to it quite as well, right, Alan?
That's right.
And then you know about the other receptor right there, the growth factor receptor, right? Talk about that for a sec.
Yeah, so they're the growth factor receptors. Now, what we're really looking at there, that's a hormone-driven factor or receptor. You're talking about IGF-1, you're talking about growth hormone, and you have to go back to what we talked about just a few seconds ago. When is that receptor likely to be most active? And again, it's at night while we sleep, right? So that, I would look at that receptor right there as being our recovery receptor, because that's the one that is so important, that maintains our muscle mass. But it also, what does it do? It also helps to stimulate that mTOR pathway, but it just does it with a little bit different mechanism, right? So there are multiple mechanisms. We know that not only do the peptides in our fit, we also, like we've seen up above, we know that leucine does. We know that HMB can impact mTOR at a different level. We also know that creatine is another very powerful nutrient that can impact mTOR, just at a different entrance point to mTOR.
Right. So that nutrient receptor, right, is activated by a simple amino acid or amino acids from the protein. But the growth factor receptor, it gets excited when it sees a peptide of a certain shape, right? Whether it's a growth factor or a peptide that fits that receptor.
Yep, absolutely. So what this all boils down to is really, when we're looking at it, like we talked about earlier, how do we increase and improve our longevity? How do we increase our health span, our lifespan? But you have to understand, and we're about to get into our product training side for tonight, you have to understand that muscle mass increases our metabolic fitness. So the more muscle mass we can have, the more muscle mass that we can maintain, the more metabolic fitness that we will preserve as we go throughout our lives. That is incredibly, incredibly important for us to pay attention to. Okay, so let's start talking about fit. Again, tonight's training, fit and lean, how this combination works together. We're going to take them separately, and then we're going to combine them together at the end. So fit. So primary outcome, increased muscle tone, right? We know that fit is about muscle protein synthesis, about maintaining a homeostasis between muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown so that we can maintain and preserve our muscle mass as we age it. Some of the other benefits of fit is that it also reduces chronic low-grade inflammation. And guess what fit does to that myokine that we talked about a while ago, Dr. Bartlett? It actually inhibits it. That's a very important outcome or mechanism of action for fit.
I would say that receptor is it's probably a male receptor, because it can't do two things at once. When it's getting a signal to stay, then it stops the signal to break it down, right? So it's you just occupy that receptor with the right things, and it works.
Yep. A question just popped up. What's the youngest an individual can take fit? Our recommendation is 18 years and older. Anything other than that, younger than that, it's going to have to be up to the parents and their healthcare providers. But corporately, our recommendation is to keep it at 18 years and older. Okay. All right. Structure function claims, supports muscle physiology, aids healthy muscle retention, may help decrease age-related muscle loss and support overall health and well-being during aging. And a third structure function claim is that it may support a healthy body composition, promote a balanced metabolism, and help maintain a healthy inflammatory response. Those are approved structure function claims for fit. Now, let's talk a little bit about our Peptistrong Plus. And what do we mean when we talk about that? We've got a couple of slides that we're going to go through here. But when you look at the Peptistrong Plus with the metabolic matrix technology that actually makes up our fit product, that combination helps to promote muscle protein synthesis and make that whole process more efficient. It helps to actually prevent and inhibit muscle protein breakdown as well, which prevents us from losing that muscle. Another benefit of the Peptistrong Plus is that it lowers chronic low-grade inflammation. Inflammation, Dr. Bartlett, is a killer. That is probably the one thing that keeps people from getting back into the gym, is it not? So
yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we need to take care of. And there's a lot of reasons for inflammation. And a big one is healthy GI, right? Which is another story. But also it's part of muscle, right? And so there are peptides for that. There are peptides in Peptistrong that actually have been characterized and that help with maintaining sort of this normal inflammatory balance.
That's right. That's right. So additionally, like we talked about just a second ago, it inhibits the expression of myostatin. It enhances recovery. We know we actually have studies that shown that it gets a significant improvement and decrease in recovery time. So it gets you back in the gym faster. That has a lot to do with that low-grade inflammation, because that low-grade inflammation is associated with pain, and pain keeps us from recovering and getting back into the gym. It's that one thing that will hurt us getting back into the gym. And so, and then, you know, that Peptistrong, one of the things that we do, you have to look at the benefits of that metabolic matrix technology. So let's jump right in there.
Can I just say something? I know we're supposed to talk science tonight, and it's not supposed to be about anecdotes and personal experiences, but, you know, I'm trying to stay fit. I'm in my 7th decade now, right? I'm in my 60s, and you know, I try to stay fit. I run and bike, and I've looked a certain way and had a certain strength for probably the last decade. And you know, the other night I was just laying in bed, and my wife was there, and I was saying, you know, something about politics or something that I found, and I was kind of having a little talk, and my wife said, "Stop talking right now." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "Mark, like, what have you been doing? Have you been like hitting the gym?" And I was like, "No, what are you talking about?" She says, "You're looking really good right now." And I don't know if this was just a line, right? But I was like kind of shocked. And I'm like, well, actually, the only thing that's changed is I've been taking this peptide, And I think it's amazing. And, you know, for an older person, I guess you might notice it even more because, like I said, that leucine receptor, that nutrient receptor starts to drop off. And then when you start to sort of activate this receptor, I'm telling you, I've had this conversation with people and people are really feeling the difference. They're really seeing a difference. So for me, like for 30 years have been in this health natural products industry, right? From research to this industry. And I've been talking all sorts of science and recommending certain nutrients. And I got to tell you, the discussion has always been like, it's like a 401k. I know you're not feeling anything, but trust me, the biochemistry, everything tells you should be doing this. When you start to see something where people actually feel the difference and see the difference fairly quickly, it's really life-changing. It's game-changing.
Yeah. You know, Dr. Bartlett, one of the things that we always try to be is really, really transparent as a company and especially as scientists, because we have to be transparent, right? And I'm going to tell you a couple of conversations that I've had over the last few weeks has been really incredible. And then I'm going to do a little anecdotal about myself as well, because I'm blown away by FIT. And I have to admit, I wasn't expecting to see what I've seen. But, you know, it's obvious to everybody that you can go buy PeptiStrong as an individual ingredient. And PeptiStrong as an individual ingredient has been around for a while. It's available out there. You can go find it. But I'm going to tell you right now that we have had so many people that have used PeptiStrong by itself in the past. They moved to FIT, and all of a sudden it kickstarts their muscle mass unlike anything they've ever seen. And that actually happened to me. You know, I've known a lot about peptides over the course of my research and my dissertation for my PhD and done a ton of research on it. Okay. But I'm going to tell you something. When you look at the biochemical pathways that are impacted by our peptides, if those biochemical pathways are not optimized. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. Okay. If you look at our FIT, it also contains a number of additional cofactors and coenzymes that are very important for those metabolic pathways to proceed from start to finish. Okay. And inside that metabolic pathway, there are numerous points to where a cofactor or a coenzyme has to contribute to carry that pathway forward. We call them in chemistry, we call them rate limiting steps, right? And so if there is a rate limiter in those pathways cannot proceed to completion. That's a problem. And I'm going to tell you that that's what has happened in the past, because those products, they're not paying attention to those metabolic pathways like we did in our formula. We have taken those coenzymes, we've taken those cofactors. Those things are so important because I want you to think about two things. We've got two nutrients in there. Really, we got multiple other nutrients, but there are two nutrients that are responsible for the single most deficient nutrients in the human body in the United States, magnesium and vitamin D, right? And vitamin D and magnesium, if they are a deficiency in our diets, in our bodies, then guess what? Muscle protein synthesis cannot proceed to completion. And so we have taken a point with our metabolic matrix to address these rate limiters that could potentially stop those metabolic pathways from proceeding to completion. That is incredibly important for people to understand with this product.
Yeah, I would, you know, you might also, you know, biochemists call it a rate limiting step. We probably know it as kind of a bottleneck in a process, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine a factory and there's raw ingredients coming in and maybe there's 5 ingredients that go into it and suddenly one of the ingredients runs out. Well, now you can't complete the product, or maybe the conveyor belt stops working and now everything just goes crazy and everything piles up somewhere. And another analogy might be, and now I'm going to sort of call Alan and I sort of the 5-star Michelin chefs or something. You know, imagine that the raw material is fish. That's your protein. and you are looking for a Michelin star experience, and you go into the restaurant and someone slaps a fish on the plate, well, that's not exactly the experience you're looking for. But if that chef knows exactly how to treat that, how to fillet the fish, what spices to use, how long to cook it, not too long, not too short, and sort of dressing it up nicely and it comes to your table, that is the Michelin restaurant experience, right? Mm-hmm. And so each of the raw materials, each of the ingredients are important, and the peptides are central. They're kind of like the fish is central to that, or the steak. But there are other things from a biochemical perspective that we need, and this is important. A lot of people ask us, well, can we get this somewhere else? Can we get that ingredient somewhere else? I'm like, well, maybe you can, and maybe it's cheaper in that form. But it does take, I hope that we're starting to instill some confidence in you that Alan and I have been doing this for 30 years or more. We know how to formulate products, and we understand the biochemistry, so that we know that, if you're triggering that receptor to start maintaining muscle mass, but you don't have some of the things that you need to support the mitochondrial biogenesis that has to happen as a result, or something else in the muscle fiber, or all of those little parts, if you don't know that stuff, then it's kind of a trap for young players.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that more formulators don't pay attention to those complete requirements of those metabolic pathways, Dr. Bartlett, like we do. Yep. But a lot of times they don't. They'll try to put everything but the kitchen sink, but then you really start to study a formula, and it's like they're missing so many parts to whatever they're trying to make.
And it's not just knowing what's there, but there is actually another nuance, and that is the average American and the surveys and the studies that show what the average American gets from their diet and what's missing. So, if you look at, for example, zinc, we know that, zinc is super important for immunity and all sorts of other things. It's important for 300 different enzymes. It stabilizes enzymes. It's a cofactor for active sites. It's so interesting that 75% of women in the United States fall short of the daily requirement. That's just one example. It may not be relevant to this example, but when you formulate, you know what the biochemical pathways are, and you also sort of pay attention to sort of where we are from our average diet.
Absolutely. Very important to pay attention to those characteristics. So some of the benefits of FIT, and this is, benefits based on some of the human clinical trials that have been tried. Hold on. Here we got how does FIT help with taming an irritated gut or reduce bloating?
I'm not sure that falls in the wheelhouse of FIT. Maybe we'll come back to that one, huh?
Yeah, I think we should probably come back to that one. I've not experienced or heard a comment on that before, so I think we'll need to do some research on that one. But anyway, when you look at the clinical studies for FIT, 47% less fatigue with a return to higher baseline than strength levels. Okay, so that basically you're talking about recovery, right? Because fatigue, if your body remains fatigued, you can't possibly recover properly. You got 103% strength recovery versus 60% compared to whey protein. So there's a significant improvement in recovery of strength over a whey protein comparator. You've got 4 times protein synthesis compared to whey protein as well. I missed an E there, Dr. Bartlett. I didn't see that.
Why?
Whey protein. Anyway, I'll fix that on the next one. And then a 54% increase in performance compared to a comparator as well. So those are just some of the benefits shown through some of the clinical studies with FIT compared to some randomized controlled trials that have been conducted on the products. So let's get into our next bunch of products. And we don't have that much more time, but I really want to get to the importance of the quality side. Improving body composition. And this is what we're doing when we're talking about lean now. So we're going to move into that. But when you improve your body composition, you significantly increase your health span. Now, Dr. Bartlett, explain to our attendees, what is the difference between lifespan and health span?
That's a good one. So, and it goes back to my motto, right? Die young, as late in life as possible. So you could live to 100. That would be a pretty good lifespan. But if you were sick for the last 20 years of your life, if you were immobile, if you just like really struggled and you just had a really poor quality of life, that would not be an ideal life, right? So it's not just about the length of your life. They call that sort of period of sickness towards the end of your life as morbidity, right? And the idea, the concept is that we need to compress morbidity. So, if you compress morbidity, then that 100-year-old would be healthy all the days of his life and sort of die with a smile on his face in his sleep or something, right? I'd call that good, compressing morbidity, right? So I'd rather live to 90 or 80 and be just fit all the days of my life. And that's what it's about. And we can do that, right? It's focusing on our health now and really sort of taking good steps.
Yeah, it's that whole use it or lose it principle, right? If we don't use the muscles that we've been blessed with, we're going to lose them. And when we start to lose them, man, to stop that losing process and to regain that ability to regrow our muscles, it's not impossible, but it is more difficult as we age. And so the best thing for us to do, never stop, right? Stay active, make sure that your quality of life is exactly what you want it to be. Stay out of the nursing home, stay away from the drugs, if at all possible, but just make sure that you're paying attention to that quality of life and improve your health span. Focus on health span, not so much lifespan. It'd be great to live to 100 if I'm still active and, having a great time with my beautiful wife when I'm 99 and a half. So that's the goal. I want to be active and having a great time in my life with my wife, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. If I'm 99, it may be great-great-grandkids by that time, right? But make sure that those are goals that you have and don't ever, ever, ever quit. That's the importance of that health span versus lifespan. So let's get into lean, because lean is an incredible product.
Hey, Alan, before you go into this, I just want to, again, show some context here. Yeah. Right. So, we've started talking about fit because muscle is so important. And this is all part of, when people think about, okay, I just want to control my weight. I want a weight management program, something that helps something that's really hard, right? It's hard. Like I said, it's part of that lifestyle that we lead. And from an evolutionary perspective, I still want to sort of remind you what I said when we first started talking tonight. Evolutionary biology sort of gives us a very keen food-seeking behavior strategy, right? There are all sorts of signals that sort of send the brain, hey, start looking for food, you're hungry. And, that was extremely important in times where you didn't know where your next meal would come from and you need to sort of accumulate a little bit of fat just in case you don't eat for 3 days, right? And that same biology is working against us a little bit. And this drives me crazy because, like I said, I'll eat lunch and I'll come back and I'm like, oh man, I'm looking for snacks still. That doesn't make sense. Well, it kind of does from an evolutionary perspective. Now, we understand now the biochemistry of all these things that are happening and what happens, what peptides are being released that kind of make you feel hungry or make you feel less hungry and slow down the food-seeking behavior. And that's the science that we are leveraging here.
That's right. That's exactly right. So primary outcome for our lean product, rebalancing body composition. Body composition, okay, that includes the balance of muscle mass, lean muscle mass to body fat. And so how do we rebalance that body composition? In other words, how do we improve the quality of our muscles on our body? Because that's what it ultimately is all about. So some of the mechanisms of action, you've got a gut-brain axis regulation. Remember with FIT, we have a muscle-brain axis regulation with FIT. And so here we go again, right? Our gut not only impacts our brain, our muscle impacts our brain, both of those. And so we've got a dual FIT lean combination impacting our brain in a very, very positive way. Another benefit, it lowers the release of a neuropeptide called neuropeptide Y. Neuropeptide Y is for satiation, for hunger, and helps to basically keep us from craving things and being hungry. One of the beautiful characteristics of lean is that it enhances physiological lipolysis. What does lipolysis mean, Dr. Bartlett?
That is the lysis of lipo, which means breakdown of fat.
That's right. That's right. So we get a significant breakdown of stored body fat from our lean. And we're going to talk a lot about that here in just a second. So intensifies fatty acid metabolism, metabolization, and thermogenesis. Thermogenesis is basically the heating of our body. If you look at your body, you got really two types of fat. I mean, there's other types of fat and positioning of fat, but you've got white adipose tissue, you've got brown adipose tissue. White adipose tissue is the fat that's stored on our body. Brown adipose tissue is the thermogenic fat. It is an energy consuming type of fat that is used to kind of heat and warm our body. It's full of mitochondria, which is what makes it brown, right? So anyway, go ahead.
Well, it's just, the biochemistry of that is really interesting, isn't it? How,
yes.
How the body actually uses some of those mitochondria in the brown fat to just keep your body warm and sort of burn calories. So kind of what it's doing is resetting the idle so that the idle is a little bit higher. So, I know my motorcycle, it idles at 900 RPM, but I could always twiddle this little knob and have it idle at 1800 RPM. That would use more petrol when I'm at the stoplight, but maybe that's something that the body can do. And it's so interesting that you can actually find phytonutrients from nature that actually kind of help to reset that idle a little bit.
That's right. And the other side of the benefit of that is that we increase our resting energy expenditure, which means we're burning calories while we're sitting still. That's a beautiful thing. If we can burn those calories, guess what happens? They don't get stored, right? So
yes,
feel that,
and that's the
feel
difference in muscle, right? If you got more muscle, it's increasing the idle, but this is a different mechanism where we're actually sort of turning up the idle switch.
That's right. And so when we increase that adipose beiging benefits, you see that as one of the mechanisms of action. What we're actually doing with that is increasing mitochondrial biogenesis. In other words, the generation of new mitochondria into our muscles. That's a huge benefit. Now, this last one, we're putting on here, and I want Dr. Bartlett, he gives the most beautiful explanation of the benefits of this last mechanism of action right here. And I want you to pay very careful attention because it's important you understand how crucial this is for our glucose homeostasis.
Wow, I haven't even rehearsed for this, but okay, let's do it. So when you eat food, it's so interesting. So, okay, you've been designed to seek for food. Your food-seeking behavior is at its max, and you've gone out and you've gone, like, man, I hunted really hard for this hamburger shop. Now I'm here. I'm going to eat some food, right? So when you eat, actually some of those, you've got some carbohydrates, some fat, some protein that gets into the GI, right? So now you're starting to digest. And what's interesting is that there are sensors in the GI, the L cells and the K cells. And those cells say, hey, I see some protein. And when they see that, they say, okay, my job is to make this little peptide called GLP-1, or maybe it's another peptide, right? And so what happens to this peptide? It gets released into the bloodstream, where that little peptide shoots all the way to the brain and tells the brain, hey, you're eating, so you don't have to look for food anymore. It sends it to other parts of the body, one that says, hey, you're eating, so let's slow the gastric emptying a little bit. And something magic happens when the gastric emptying slows. Is like, as the belly swells, there's this thing called the vagus nerve that also sends a signal to the brain that, hey, you're full, you don't need to eat much more, right? Well, here's what's interesting. Like, I think this is what made peptides like just burst onto the stage in the last couple of years, is because there are some peptides that they've realized, oh, this GLP-1 is magic. What if we could synthesize this? And what if we could make it last a whole lot longer in the body? Man, that's going to shut down your food-seeking behavior big time. So let me just share with you what happens. When the body creates this, there are these peptidases. There's basically, let's look at the shark here. His job is to break down that peptide when he sees it. Yum, 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 yum. So he's eating that peptide and breaking it down into component amino acids. Guess how long that lasts in the blood and in the body generally? that peptide that comes from the L cell lasts about 2 minutes, or in 2 minutes, half the concentration is gone. So they call that a half-life of 2 minutes. So the body makes the signal, the body breaks it down. This is what makes it safe, and this is how the body works. Guess how long the synthetic GLP-1 is? It has a half-life of 1 week. So imagine how you have changed the way that the body reacts now. I think you've kind of pulled all the safety stops off it. So that GLP-1 is important, but you don't want to like go overboard. So what the studies on this peptide that's coming from yeast is doing is that it is actually kind of slowing down this guy a little bit so that he doesn't break it down quite as fast. But I'm just telling you right now, we're not looking at anything like a 1 week extension of its life. We're just talking about increasing its lifespan just a little bit by slowing down the shock. And that does make a difference. You can feel the difference. It makes a hard thing a little bit easier. It sort of helps to sort of curb that appetite a little bit more. That's how it works.
Yeah. And it doesn't, that negative feedback loop that can occur with some of the synthetic peptides, because when you've got a 7-day half-life, I mean, think about how much of our endogenous GLP-1 is going to be inhibited over the course of 7 days, literally every time we eat, right? So anyway, so when you start to look at the benefits of DPP-4, that DPP-4, that dipeptidyl peptidase, which is specific and actually helps break down that GLP-1. That's one of the reasons that it only has a 2-minute shelf life. But that GLP-1, when we can extend that just a little bit, just a few minutes is all it takes to get a tremendous benefit to tell us that we don't crave sugar. Because Dr. Bartlett, when's the number one time we crave something sweet? Is right after we've eaten a meal, right? Yep. So if we can just postpone that craving for something sweet right after we've eaten a meal, guess what we've done? We've prevented ourselves from basically eating something that we probably shouldn't eat. And so that's the importance of the DPP-4 inhibition that occurs with our lean.
Yep.
So, all right. So couple of things. You got to look at our bioactive precision peptides from yeast, the Saccharomyces cerevisiae peptide hydrolysate. You're going to get two main mechanisms of action. You get the gut-brain axis regulation, where it helps to lower ghrelin secretion to inhibit appetite, helps to increase leptin levels, which promotes satiety and decreases our cravings for sweets, okay? The second thing is it lowers that release of neuropeptide Y, which helps to prevent storage of body fat, activates our brown adipose tissue metabolism, so it increases thermogenesis, and we get a significant reduction of caloric intake. And what we've seen with this, the clinical studies on just this part specifically, is that we get significant decreases in abdominal and waist circumference. So you get huge benefits in our fat-consuming part of our body just from the bioactive peptides. Some of the clinical benefits and some of the clinical studies. These are, studies, mechanistic studies, clinical trials over here on the right. Significant studies showing the benefits of our yeast protein hydrolysate and those peptides.
Yeah, I think we're almost there, but we're almost out of time, but I feel like this is worth mentioning, right? I don't know if we'll get to all of the other muscle stuff that we had, but one of the biggest questions that we get, because peptides are really popular right now, and it's mostly and we get questions from people who sort of know about therapeutic peptides that are injected. And they say, well, wait a minute, it doesn't work when you eat the peptide. This is all part of of what we are doing. These peptides are found in nature, right? And we can talk later about how they're found, whether or not they use AI or traditional methods. But you find an active from nature. You discover that it's a peptide. You look at the mechanism of how it's working. All that's done in tissue culture. The next thing is will it survive the GI? And there are all sorts of tests that you can do to make sure that it does survive the GI. Because certain peptides, because of their shape, because of their maybe circular or sort of globular shape, they resist the breakdown and they actually survive the GI. There are lots in nature that do. So obviously we're using peptides that have been studied, that have been found to be active and able to resist digestion in the GI. And then the next thing you need to do is look for clinical benefits. And wherever possible, you look at human clinical studies and look at the effects. So this looks like a kind of a busy slide, but that's the bottom line there.
Yep. So the next portion, the bioactive flavonoid-rich polyphenolic compounds, we just call them bioactive polyphenols for short. Those help to enhance lipolysis, intensify free fatty acid metabolism, increase thermogenesis. I want to get through these because I really want to get to our muscle quality, which is what the whole purpose of tonight's talk is about. So it increases adipose aging, no loss of lean muscle mass, improves body composition, and guess what? No rebound effect. That is huge. No rebound effect once people have come off of the bioactive polyphenols in lean. So now we get to the real meat and potatoes of our talk tonight. High quality muscle equals high quality life. So muscle quality, what defines muscle quality? You got to look at fiber type. Our muscle fibers consist of type 1, type 2A, type 2B fiber types. And what we know is that type 2B fiber, as we age, actually starts to migrate down to type 1 muscle fibers. And so you get basically a muscle fiber migration from type 2B really to type 1. What you want to strive for as you get older and we age, you want to try to strive for improving and increasing the amount of type 2B muscle fiber that you have. How do you do that? That's resistance training. That's lifting weights. That's making sure that you're building that strength. That's your type 2B muscle fibers. Other things that determine muscle quality, mitochondrial content. Mitochondrial biogenesis is very important for muscle quality. The muscle architecture, again, we saw that with the very first slide we saw on the muscle, and then the composition. Composition is important. So look at this steak right here. This is a beautiful grass-fed ribeye. It has very little fat, cross-sectional view. It's probably going to be a little bit tougher than the one that we're going to see after a while. That's probably not so quality, but this is a great example of what a quality muscle fiber looks like, or a quality muscle looks like. So something like this. What you're seeing is this part of this right here on your muscle. Okay, so high quality muscle compared to low quality muscle. High quality muscle, there is no fat in between the myofibrils, the muscle fibers, any of these things right here, they're totally fat free. But when you look at your low quality muscles, you got both intramuscular, intramuscular, and intramyocellular fat within all of those different components of your muscle. So you've got fat on the outside, you've got fat on the inside, you've got fat in between all your muscle fibers. That is low quality, very low density muscle. Not good. That's not what we want. So the condition, the scientific term for this condition is called myosteatosis. It's the infiltration of fat into the muscle. And the side effects or the adverse effects of myosteatosis are reduced muscle strength, altered protein quality, reduced muscle density, and it's associated with frailty, reduced mobility and function, and it is devastating to our quality of life. Now, let me show you some examples of myosteatosis. You're going to see in this particular drawing a lot of fat in the myocells, intramuscular, all over the place. There's this little yellow in here. This is all fat. You want to see a beautiful, beautiful example of myosteatosis. It's this right here. This steak would taste so good because of the amount of fat that it has in it. But if you were to take that and put that, in your bicep, that would not be good. And so when you look at this type of steak right here, man, that Wagyu ribeye right there looks fantastic. But as far as healthy muscle goes, not so much.
And so just to be clear, I'm still going to eat that steak.
Oh
I
yeah.
just don't want my muscle to look like that steak. So don't treat me like the Kobe beef. Don't feed me like a ton of grain and massage me and feed me beer, and that's my whole life, and I don't exercise, right? So, I've got nothing against that awesome steak right there in moderation.
Yeah, that's right. Best steak I ever had was a wagyu ribeye. But anyway, so in closing, let's look at lean and fit and the synergies of lean and fit. So lean and fit work together to improve muscle quality. Fit increases muscle mass. Lean increases metabolism through increased lipolysis and thermogenesis. So you've got increase in muscle mass, you've got burning body fat. Fit inhibits muscle breakdown, so it inhibits losing muscle. Lean inhibits the storage of fat and encourages glucose homeostasis. So think about that. Each one of those, they have, it's a yin and a yang, right? I mean, you've got the opposite effects coming in, and so they synergistically enhance muscle quality by enhancing the muscle density and inhibiting fat infiltration or myosteatosis inside our muscle fibers. So there is a very powerful synergy between lean and fit in improving muscle quality.
Well said. Well said.
All right. So final thoughts. Some of the benefits: preventing fat infiltration, tremendous benefits. Guess what? Believe it or not, it impacts our bone health, impacts our organ health, impacts our metabolic health. I'll add, it impacts our brain health. And most importantly, it impacts our quality of life. That's what this is all about, guys.
Thank you. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the last hour of your Thursday night. It's always fun to join you guys. And I don't think we'll be doing one next Thursday because we will be in Orlando at our Make One event, right?
That's right. It finally got here. Yeah. Almost. Yep.
So looking forward to seeing you all then. But in the meantime, Alan, what should folks do?
Get back with the people that got you on the call tonight and ask any questions you want to ask. And in the meantime, show up to Orlando next week. And if you're going to be in Orlando, come find Dr. Bartlett and my.
All right. So, well, thank you for hanging on to that. And you probably were like, your brain was probably like, oh my gosh, all of this information, like all of this science, like what do I do with all of this? I purposefully wanted to show you that because if you just go to all of these synthetic the information that I showed you about the Ozempic and Wegovy's, it is very obvious the detriment that these synthetic substances have. What I wanted to contrast in a major way is all of the information, education that they are showing you that will enhance the body's natural function and all of the positives for that. You can't find that information about these on purpose, right? So you were like, probably don't need to know all of that. But the main thing that we're missing here that nobody's really talking about is how important it is for you to have that lean muscle mass. And what is happening when people are blocking of nutrients is their lean muscle mass is going away. The body is literally eating it for fuel when it can't find the nutrients that it needs. And so not only are people's digestion getting worse and all of these, like we talked about mental health illnesses and blocking digestion and things, but the catabolic effect of the muscle being wasted and lost long-term will turn people's metabolisms into something, that is, far less than when they started. So if they ever quit, that weight's going to come right back on if they did not change their lifestyle. And so when we can use nature and the science, I wanted to show you, so if that slide and all of those pathways or whatever, just made your brain freak out, that's okay. You don't have to understand that. But someone like me, I wanted to show you the research that is going into this, because all of those pathways matter. And if you're not putting a natural substance in there and something is being blocked or interrupted, not enhanced, or how do we give the body something that it needs in order to function more properly, that in theory alone, there's going to be a consequence. Okay. And so I'm so excited because I have felt this. I felt exactly what they're talking about. And getting back to the gym, a lot of you have known, if I shared my story, is that I have been out of the gym for a while. I've been on a recovery, been through some trauma. Like I got out of my gym routine, and I noticed this immediately because I know how my body responds if I take a break from the gym and just going back. And in 4 workouts, the amount of progress that I've seen in the way of energy too, and eating more food, like it has just been amazing, in taking this for just a few weeks. And so I would liken this to what I felt the first couple of weeks when I even started the reset. So I noticed something dramatic. And having tried a lot of products and companies that say that they're doing this or are trying to study this, I cannot say that I have felt that with any other product. And so I'm super excited to recommend this because of that science. So if you're like, your eyes are going cross and I don't need to know all that, hey, Miranda, does it work? Will it help? Absolutely. I mean, because you might not be thinking, well, it helped me because I'm not going to the gym, Miranda. What about me? Well, if you're moving, we need to preserve that muscle mass. So those 2 things synergistically are going to help us, help our metabolism and help us to keep that lean muscle mass as we're going into aging. Okay. So I loved the analogy at the beginning where he kind of talked about the founder who's super fit, what's going to be good for that person who already is going to the gym or whatever, and the person that, maybe isn't. All right. And talking about the inflammation that person that isn't, like, they're going to notice a greater change. So I have my new friend Wynn, who is also in the functional medicine world. So I'll bring you up here too. And we got connected by this amazing product, and I'm just getting to know her as well. And so I would just love you to share some things that you've learned about this company in your own experience. And if anybody has any questions, we won't keep them too long, but I definitely want to introduce you to our crew.
Thanks so much, Miranda. This has been awesome. Just kind of connecting the dots of how and why things work with your reset program, weight loss, all the things. But I too have a story, and that's how I landed in the functional medicine space. And it's why I do what I do, because people don't know what they don't know. And when they know better, they can do better. So just in a nutshell, if that was overwhelming, the science is a lot, it can be, is what you need to know is that there is a natural alternative to those synthetics on the market that are very expensive, have dosage scheduling, have lots of side effects, some that are irreversible. This natural alternative, it's just very simple. They're just little messengers. Peptides are just little messengers that tell your body exactly what to do for better energy, for recovery, for focus, for weight loss. They help your body work smarter, not harder. So we're not talking about pumping out, iron for hours. We're just, using these, I call them superceuticals, to help your body be smarter. So just think of them as little on switches that actually activate the functions in your body that your body's already designed to do. Nothing foreign. You actually have peptides in your body. It's just enhancing what is naturally there. Talking about that lean muscle mass and losing that visceral fat, the majority of the fat that is lost using these bioactive peptides is coming from your visceral fat, which is super dangerous fat that kind of hangs out around your organs. You're gaining that lean muscle mass, which in turn is strengthening your bones. As we grow older, we've got to have strong bones. So there are, so many different benefits, but overall, you're just optimizing you in a natural way. And there's a question in the comment 30. So there's a couple of products that are capsules. And there are a couple of products that are, the 2 that we talked about today, one's a capsule, and then one is a powder that you add into a drink. Is super yummy. And everything's a 30-day supply. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's designed to be a 30-day supply. So everything that you order will be 30-day. And so let me go ahead and bring up my screen so I can just show them what this looks like so that when they go to the website, they can see, what they're looking at, or maybe how we can, show them where to go. So the Fit and Lean, those are the two products that he talked about today. They do have a couple of different packs that look like this. So the Muscle and Metabolic collection, which actually includes hydrated, which we didn't talk today, which is going to be equivalent to like an electrolyte. So here inside the Reset, we've used something called Element for a while. It's going to be Make's version of that, and we'll be learning more about that, which I absolutely love. So those are the products that I've been using up to this point, and I absolutely love. They also have the Mind and Motivation collection, which I have on the way, which is going to be amazing to try some of those too. It makes me super excited to actually be able to. So the ingredients are of amazing quality. So why I wanted to show you this research is I wanted to let you know that this is the level of integrity, concern, and research that is being put into this. And I want to make that available to you so that you can, because transparency is the way that I go. I want you to know what you're putting in your body. I want you to ask those questions. I want you to see what this company is about, and that I would not put something in my body that I did not stand behind 100%. But they do also have a cool collection that has all of the products. And so I wanted you to be able to take a look at this. And I know Jeremy has put the link in here a couple times. Let's go ahead and drop that link there if you want to go there and take a look at it. And then when I know that this company is brand new, and what's really exciting about that, and why I'm so excited to share it with my community, is because they're just like us, is after they've experienced these results, that they're pretty fired up about what they've learned, and they're amazing at sharing that with other people. And so knowing that so many people are on the synthetic versions, or they're seeking these natural solutions, that there's an amazing opportunity for people to become affiliates, and a founder of this brand new company right at the beginning. So would you like to speak to a little bit about that? And then I'll tell people, if they're interested in learning more about that, how they can reach out.
Yes, absolutely. So, like Miranda mentioned, we're a brand new company. We just launched in November. We've done over 400,000 orders. People are so hungry to get the access to a safe and natural peptide. But the opportunity to be a founder, only comes. I've never had the opportunity to be a founder anywhere. And for a company that checks all the boxes, that's about helping people live better, helping to help other people live better, to have a better community, more financial freedom, whatever it may be to you. But the opportunity to be a founder ends the end of this month. Like I said, and like you can probably imagine, we've had really incredible just growth already. When you become a founder, not only, obviously you're a founder, but you actually get access to other special bonuses that after March are there 31 days in March or 30 days in March? I'm not sure. Yeah.
31.
Okay. After that date, those founders bonuses go away. So we have an unfair advantage. And in this case, it's actually good to have an unfair advantage. Nobody has what we have. And as you can see, Alan and Mark, they are incredible and super passionate about what they've done. They've taken companies from nothing to multi-billion-dollar companies. So we're really excited about what's happening at Make, not only for the company and the people who are involved, but for people's health and well-being, their health span, as they talked about. So I'd welcome any of you, to be a founder. There's no cost. No cost to join, no barrier to entry, no monthly fees, none of that. We just would welcome you to come and learn and, experience kind of what Miranda and I are experiencing, and share with other people, because people don't know what they don't know, and knowledge is so powerful.
Yes. And so there's lots of events and that they're putting on that you can learn more things about it. But if you're interested in the opportunity of learning more about this, that is like no cost to you. Like you literally can send a text to, what is the text line there? Send the word founder, and that will just allow me to kind of to label you in a group so that I can reach out to you with all of the people who want that information. You can send the text founder and I put it in the chat there. And then it looks like Janine and maybe when you'll want to, yes. So the way that I would answer that is it would be the same as any other supplement. So like, for example, the Fit has B12 in it. So, and it's methylcobalamin, which is a good form of B12. It would be down to your genetic tolerance of B12. Okay, so like that would be the only possible side effect because they're all food derived, right? So they're natural. So Kelly, if you could text that to the 812-441-4898 number, that would be great because this chat won't be saved. But yes, so, and that's kind of what I'm pretty passionate about, Janine. I know you're inside the community, but like people aren't asking about the side effects of these synthetic things that have a myriad of, like there's no way they won't have side effects. Honestly, it would be impossible to not have a long-term consequence. Just impossible. When you understand that it is synthetic. The body's not designed to handle something synthetic, right? Like you wouldn't drink plastic purposefully. We do. Welcome margarine. Like so we have to remove that stuff. Like that's a non-negotiable, is to be able to eat real food, but to be able to they're studying all of this and to be able to use the natural peptides to be able to enhance it. It's awesome. And so I got the unexpected benefit of energy that I was looking for muscle recovery and obviously, and I definitely noticed the appetite suppression. But it's not, I'm not hungry. I'm hungry at the right times. And there's just not this, there's no cravings for sugar, things that would be stronger, like with hormones and stuff. Cause you all know what I'm talking about. It's just really leveled up energy and recovery and sleep, across the board. And, I feel that in my body composition as well. Marked. And you all know how much I study that, how much I study my body, how much I track my Oura ring and all of that stuff. I'm super sensitive to it. And that's why I feel comfortable in sharing all of this and encouraging you to go and try it and share. Cause it's worth every penny in my opinion, for the dramatic results that we're having. So you can go to the website there, and you can grab those products individually. I would encourage you that if you're interested in, becoming a founder at all, go ahead and sign up to become an affiliate. It literally costs you nothing. There's no risk or detriment to doing it whatsoever. I guess that's the way to say it. Like, why not? And then try those products out. And then if you are interested, you can send me a text to founder and we'll get you some more information about how you can kind of get more information about actually doing that. So any final thoughts, Wynn, before we let everybody go? Thank you for everybody for sticking around for a while today.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all of y'all for coming and
I do got a question. I'm sorry.
there we go.
Go ahead, Tyra.
So when you become an affiliate, don't you get like the products at a discounted rate? Let's say when you have them on auto ship, because I've been in a company like this before.
So you're actually going to get paid full commissions on your own purchases. So there is a subscribe and save option where you get, well, first of all, if you bundle products together, you're going to get a savings. Your first, second, third order, 10% off. Your fourth order is 20% off, but you get paid full commission on your purchases. Which is not typically you see the discount on the front end, but as you grow, you get higher percentages too. So that they're very generous there. They also have really great, right now there's a $500 gift card for Tiffany, Lululemon, Apple, Nike. So there's all kinds of ways that you benefit from being an affiliate.
Yeah. And I love that they aren't requiring, a lot of companies do auto ship, you have to pay in order to have that opportunity. They just want people to share it. And so the heart behind that really matters to me. So if you're interested, that's another reason why I just wanted to share this opportunity and the science behind it so that you can see this is legit and it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, Miranda, I want to encourage people as well. I mean, go follow Justin Prince on Instagram. Go follow Make Wellness, right? And so that's educate yourself, right? Get to know the company, get to know the leaders, the founders, and just see. Actually, Justin Prince, I recognize that name because I think a friend of mine, Miranda, I think Ian actually interviewed him for a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He is an incredible human. And what's ironic about this is that I had been looking into the therapeutic peptide space for a while, just like what's going on here? And they seemed really appealing, but there were too many side effects, too many risks, too much money. And then all of a sudden, someone, in my functional medicine world was like, "Hey, have you heard about bioactive peptides?" And I was like, I don't know. And I hadn't. I'd only heard about the therapeutic. But what was wild was I had actually been following Justin Prince for about 2.5, 3 years, just getting a little piece of him every day with he is the most positive, inspiring human being. I had no idea that he was attached to a company. I thought Instagram just paid him a lot of money because he was awesome, like John Maxwell. I really did. And at that time, Make wasn't even in existence. It was in the works. And when I found out this bioactive company that I was so excited about, that he was actually the founder and the CEO, I was like, I will do whatever that man is doing. I want some of what he's having because he is amazing. So go, please follow him.
Yes. Love it. Amazing. Well, thank you, Wynn, for hopping on here to meet our
you.
community. Thank you for everybody that's hanging out. And if you're watching the replay, don't hesitate to reach out. This is just the beginning of like scratching the surface of us all, learning about these amazing products and the science behind them. And so we're here to support you. We're here to help you learn and connect you to the resources as they're coming out, because they're coming out super fast. Like, we're attached to all of this information. Wynn's been an amazing resource for that too. So we're here to get you the information that you want and need, and more importantly, the health that you desire, deserve, and we know is possible with all of this together. So everybody have an amazing rest of your week. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.